I was actually reached out to and requested to do a budget breakdown and things that I personally think are going to be budget for the month of August. Now, this is kind of going into the format. I was kind of looking at prices because we can't talk about Pendulum Edition anymore. That deck too damn much. Like, have you seen the price tag on that? So these are going to be some decks that you can potentially invest in and play that are relatively cheap. So, Budget Corner, starring MCL40. Let's dig on into this, shall we? So as we're going into this video, I'm going to talk about different budget evaluations, things like that, for potential decks that you could be picking up right now. At least that should potentially be able to do something in this metagame. So we're going to start off with TenYee. And I know that this is kind of cringe because I've seen things that this deck has done. We had a first place finish at, I believe PPG covered it at an event. And this caught my attention because everything, okay, so the Earth TenYee, like $1.50s now. The water ones have gone down. The effect one is probably the most expensive at $6. Now, under the assumption that you've got base rarity staples and things like that, you shouldn't have a hard time picking up everything for this. Also, this deck can hilariously make Naturia Beast very fast. And I mean, at a local scenario where you shouldn't have a problem going 3-1, especially if you can modify the deck in a way that you're able to abuse and stick Naturia Beast on the field in every scenario. So I'm looking more or less at this deck as a competitive viable option, at least for budget players, because heck, anytime I can stick a Natty Beast on the field, I'm probably going to be in a winning position. So everything that you kind of need to get for the deck core is very cheap. It's the fun version coming out of, the latest set. And I mean, honestly, I could see this being able to do something. Now, if you're looking to play this at a regional, you might be able to scrape bay on your invite. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think you're going to be able to do it. But for a local metagame, yeah, TenYee I think definitely stands a chance. I don't see any reason why I can't. And deck's affordable, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be honest. I mean, depending on what your budget is and things like that, you don't have any reason to not approach this deck for the price tag that it is. That's my 2 cents. Now, we're going to talk about Dinosaurs next. And every time I look at Dinosaurs, I see, besides the extra deck, I'll be honest with you, I think the extra deck is a bit of an expensive monster. But, okay, so if you bought the structure decks and things like that, or if you've got Ultimate Conductors and you've got Overraptors, the price tags on those individually, if you can track down the structure decks, this is where I would go. Alright, Lost World against Sky Striker, fantastic card. Literally, it's the same thing as giving a Sky Striker player a Kaiju. You stick it over on the field, and they're just like, what do? I mean, you have Quetzalcoatl's, double evolution pills. You can get by with double evolution pills. Functionally, I think you can probably touch this deck in the $100 range. I know $100 can seem like a bit much, and I get it. It's not ideal for a lot of players, but I think you can do it. I believe in you. But in terms of competitive and viability, I mean, you can upgrade this beast, all right? You got just a car combos you can do. So, like, if you start on a base floor, you start picking up the stuff slowly, the way that this deck has been this format, honestly, it's not like you can't keep adding to it. Kind of like Nim Nim's series. He's continuing to build on his experiences as he's viably getting better. And I think it's something that players need to understand. When you pick up something, the deck that you want to play as a casual player, you have to understand from the perspective of, all right, this is where I'm going. I need to build on this more and more and more. And honestly, that's the way to do it. And I think, honestly, it's not a bad thing, especially if you get on the dinosaur level, starting off, all right, you can only build on it. So as you get more budget each and every month, you get to add to it. That's the best part, honestly, about dinosaurs, at least in my opinion. Now, next up on this list, we're going to talk about Praying Kids. Now, I hate to be this guy and say this, but this is like the dream for the budget player. Everything in this deck, okay, minus instant fusions. I mean, super or common polymerization you should be able to pick up. You can only upgrade the deck from this point. I mean, okay, so if you pick up the base prank kit and score, all right, you're like, okay, cool, let's try this. All right, so you pick it up, you're like, okay, cool, I can pick up super polys next month. Cool, you had super polys, starving venom. You've got this experience that you're building on it. Now, here's our trade-off with prank kits, though. And this is the worst part about the deck. Unfortunately, you have this concept that is super hard to learn, and that's kind of where our issue lies. Yes, the deck is cheap. Yes, the deck is competitively sound, but you as the average player, if you don't have the time to learn the deck, learn the ins and outs of the combos, well, your issue becomes, well, yeah, you can spend the money on it, but if you're not going to have time to learn what the heck your combos are and things like that, well, you kind of reach this stalemate in terms of the investment. So I don't know. Obviously, Prank Kid's very, very good for what it is, but I mean, do you have the 40 hours to learn all the combos? Do you want to dedicate that much time to it? Because I hate to be that guy, but just because you're limited in budget, you still need to learn the deck. And Prank Kid's investment level down here, very cheap. Skill level all the way up here. I mean, and it's not like instant fusions are all that much anyway. So that's something to take note. Now, also on this list, this is an interesting one. We've got Sky Strikers coming in at number 4. So here's the interesting thing about Sky Striker. Engages are 20s at the moment. You've got Widow Anchors coming in at 7, depending on which copies you want. Rays, dollars. You've got Kagari at literally $1. You've got Afterburners, cheap. You've got the only real thing that had value out of the core of the set was Shark Cannon, and plus we've got reprints coming for this. So what you have to ask yourself at this point is it worth it to drop the $70 on the core 6? Also, in addition to, if you have the Engages and the Widow Anchors, you can splash them in literally any other deck that you're looking to pick up at the moment. Especially if you're a budget player, and your question of the day that you ask yourself is Sky Striker worth it? In both the solid pure build and the tech choices that you get out of Engage and things like that, I think that the answer is yes. Just in terms of viability and splashability across the board, you can probably pick up any of these decks and splash in the Sky Striker engine and pretty much be okay for the format. I don't know. Obviously, it depends on where yourself is looking in terms of budget options for the format, but to be completely honest, anything Sky Striker related at the moment, even though we have more reprints right around the corner, I mean, splashability and just that security, these are things that you need to ask yourself, is it worth it? And I personally think it is. But once again, $70 for 6 cards, I mean, even though it's like the base of the deck, it does hurt a lot. So, but interesting enough that that's an option for a lot of players. And last up on this list is actually Mech Knight Invoked. So, the reason I'm putting Mech Knight Invoked on this list is purple's still relatively cheap. The Invoked engine is worth nothing now. Like, honestly, it's one of the cheapest engines that I think we've ever got the chance to see in the game. And bad players just play right into this deck. Nobody pays attention to column placement anymore, which is absolutely hilarious. And it's a going second deck. Alright, so I guess if you want to pick up evenly matched, but okay, so Purgatrio OTK comes out of left field, you win the game. It's as simple as that. Yes, you probably are going to need Ash Blossoms and other staple cards for it, but it's not like they're not available. And in terms of explosive left field OTKs, this is the deck. Alright, like, you snap your fingers, you Purgatrio. I mean, on the downside, you got Super Polys now, Starving Venoms, and things like that. You're going to have to pick up. This is, for the investment level on this deck, I think it's fine. Honestly, for competitive players, it's a really easy deck to pick up. It sees no problems in today's metagame, honestly. And, I mean, I'm looking at the learning curve more than anything for these, except for, Prank Kids. But that's a whole nother beast in and itself. So out of these 5, I'd probably go with Sky Striker, kind of depending on where the rest of the format's going and things like that. But I don't know. Do you guys agree? Disagree? Please comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a truffle shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vanquil40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.